Very rarely have I found a book that is very long but is also good enough to win a prize. Not maybe good enough to have a good time with a book, but to win a prize? I'm not sure. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lena. I am a booktuber and poet. Here is my poetry collection coming out in July. And I really like talking to you about books. I particularly like saving you time because I know not everybody is obsessed with books as me, and I read about 100 books a year. So I like to read those and tell you what the good ones are. So you have to waste all your freaking own time trying to work out who's done a good one and who's done a one. Now, today we're going to talk about the Women's Prize. The Women's Prize last year sent me all of the long list, which looked like too many books to read, but what can I say? Things got out of hand and I read all 16. You can watch the video where I review all of those up here. And again, the Women's Prize, thankfully, have bestowed on me all of the long list, which was announced on Tuesday of this week. It is exactly 51 inches of women's fiction, which is a lot for anybody to get through. And I have to say, this year, honestly, I don't think I'm gonna get through all of them. I'm just gonna be honest with you, although I said that last year, so who can say? I could be a sneaky Steve and do it anyway. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna look through all of the books that are on the long list and look through the menu together. We're going to give you my first impressions of each book, read you the first line of each book, and frankly, judge books by their covers and their blurbs, which I think is only fair. Their descriptions and potentially what I can only scientifically describe as vibes. Let's go through each one. At the end, I'm going to tell you which ones I think I'm going to prioritize reading in 2022. Now, last year I actually found 6 of maybe my favorite books from this list, so I'm really excited. As a prize, I really trust the Women's Prize to find me some good stuff. Although I am now looking at this and seeing how many long books there are. Are there any under 300 pages? Because my favorite books from 2021 were all, like, a lot of them were short books, under 200 pages, under 250 pages. I honestly think like that's what makes somebody really good at their craft, able to write a short book. Very rarely have I found a book that is very long that is also as like good enough to win a prize. Not maybe good enough to have a good time with a book, good enough to be somebody's favorite book, but to win a prize, I'm not sure. Okay, let's start with the paperbacks at the top because I'm not about playing book Jenga. Now, this book, when I saw the cover online, I thought it had one of the most beautiful covers. It's called The Bread and the Devil Knead. The cover looks like this. However, I would say the print quality of this paperback is like a bit sad. Like the cover looks a bit pixelated. The colors look a bit washed out and off. Like I was a bit sad with the quality, with the superficial qualities, but not what the prize is about, but I just wanted to comment. Just so you know. Elif Lopez is about to turn 40. Fashionable, feisty, and fiercely independent, she manages a boutique in the port of Spain. But behind closed doors, she's covering up bruises from her abusive partner and seeking solace in an affair with her boss. She witnesses a woman murdered by a jealous lover, and the reality of her own future comes a little too close to home. So this book is set in Trinidad. I believe it is an independent publisher that has published it, which I think is really cool. And while I'm not sure if the description is like my cup of tea, I am excited that it's about a woman who is turning 40. Thank God. That's a very underserved age when it comes to fiction. So I'm excited about that. Let's read the first line. When I wake up in the morning, oh God, my back and my belly are hurting. But I didn't want to make no noise and wake up Leo, so I bite my lip hard to make sure I didn't bawl out for pain. Number 2 is Salt Lick. Britain is awash. The sea creeps into the land. Brambles and forests swamp derelict towns. Food production is moved overseas and people are forced to move to the cities for work. A climate change book? Mother may I. The countryside is empty. A chorus, the herd's voice of feral cows wander this new wild land, watching over changing times, speaking with love and exasperation. Jesse and his puppy, Mr. Malik's human and dog friendship, I think so, roam in the woods until this family are forced to leave for London. Lee runs from the terrible restrictions of the white town where he grew up. Isolde leaves London on foot, walking the abandoned A12 in search of the truth about her mother. I honestly, this sounds right up my street. I am finally open, I think, to character studies in dystopian. It's not something I've always been into, but I feel like I just read The High House by Jessie Greengrass, and it's one book that I thought I wasn't emotionally ready for, but actually I found like really skillful, really great. So I actually think I would be ready for this book, and this sounds quite positive to me. Let's read the first line. Oh, I've just seen the dedication. This is quite sweet. For Lillian and Phoebe, the future is beautiful. So maybe this is a hopeful book, I hope. Water trickles through gullies in the brick, loosening bonds that have held the house together for nearly 300 years. Rain and sea meet in the crooks, the filigree channels. Not enticed by the first line, but that doesn't mean that the first page isn't going to be good. And concept-wise, I think it's pretty strong, hopeful about Salt Lick. This one-day sky. Dawn breaks across the archipelago. Why do I have a feeling that's not how you say that word? Archipelago of Popiccio. The world is stirring awake again, each resident with their own list of things to do. A wedding feast to cook, an infidelity to investigate, a lost soul to set free, and two star-crossed lovers must try to find their way back to one another across this single day. When night falls, we all have been given a gift. Many are no longer the same. The sky is pink, and some wonder if it will ever be blue again. Strong concept. I do like stories told over one day. At 460 pages, it's going to be a freaking long day, but let's hear the first line. On the first anniversary of his wife's death, Xavier Redchose got up before light and went downstairs to salt the cod. Not bad, not bad. I really, really like the cover. I think it's really strong. And flicking through it, it looks like it's got a lot of speech in it, so it could be faster to get through than I'm first assuming. It's got a blurb from Marlon James, who previously won the Man Booker Prize, so I'm very interested. It's also been shortlisted for the Goldsmith Prize. Careless. Immediately not sure about this cover, but let's go. Fearless, motherless, careless. At 3:04 p.m. on a hot, sticky day in June, Bess finds out she's pregnant. She couldn't tell her social worker, Henry, but he's useless. Sorry, she could tell her social worker, Henry, but he's useless. She could tell her foster mother, Lisa, but she wouldn't understand. She really ought to tell Boy, but she hasn't spoken to him in weeks. Beth knows more than anyone that love doesn't come without conditions, but this isn't a love story. Honestly, with the cover, I'm like, I want to say immediately no. The blurb seems quite simplistic as well, so I am a little bit unsure about this one, but let's try the first line. The long and short of it is, it's the kind of day where the heat sticks plimsolls to tarmac, and I'm standing in the toilet in the Gold Grill kebab shop with a pregnancy test stuffed into my backpack. Actually quite a strong first line. The long and short of it is, it's already immediately got like a kind of authorial voice. There's like intriguing, immediately awkward setting. I might give the first 10 pages a go at that and see. But honestly, like if I'm just critiquing the publishing side of it, I don't love what they've done. Build your house around my body. Immediately an incredible build your house around my body. What a suck you in and sit you down kind of title. Okay, let's go. Two young Vietnamese women go missing decades apart. Both are fearless, both are lost, and both have their revenge. Both will have their revenge. 1986, the teenage daughter of a wealthy Vietnamese family gets lost in the abandoned rubber plantation while fleeing her angry father. And 2011, 25 years later, a young, unhappy Vietnamese American disappears from her new home in Saigon without a trace. The fates of both women are inescapably linked, bound together by past generations, by ghosts and by ancestors, by history of the possessed bodies and possessed lands. I really like a dual, two timeline linked together mystery narrative. So that sounds quite good to me. It's got a good blurb from David Mitchell, who's author of Cloud Atlas, which was probably very hard to get. And superficially, the print quality of this is really good. It's got really good, thick, stiff, serious pages. So overall, great title, great cover, pretty good premise. No, I'm intrigued. Elif Shafak, who wrote The Three Daughters of Eve, a really freaking great book. This book is called The Island of Missing Trees, and it's beautifully foiled, if you can see that in the light. Because I've seen Elif Shafak speak before, and I think she's super wise and interesting, I'm already probably going to give this book a go. I actually was kind of thinking about buying it, and then I realised it was eligible for this prize, so I was like, I'm just going to wait and see, and I was right. But let's see what the description is. It is 1974 on the island of Cyprus. Two teenagers from opposite sides of a divided land meet at a tavern in the city they both call home. The tavern is the only place that Kostas, who is Greek and Christian, and Daphne, who is Turkish and Muslim, can meet in secret, hidden beneath the blackened beams from which hang garlands of garlic, chili peppers, and wild herbs. This is where one can find the best food in town, the best music, the best wine. But there is something else to the place. It makes one forget, even if just for a few hours, the world outside and its immoderate sorrows. Oh! Incredibly atmospheric, intriguing, mashing of religions, phrases like immoderate sorrows. I am like 100% sold. 1000% sold. 1000% sold. Once upon a memory, at the far end of the Mediterranean Sea, there lay an island so beautiful and so blue that the many travellers, pilgrim, crusaders and merchants who fell in love with it either wanted to never leave or tried to tow with hemp ropes all the way back to their own countries. Stonking, smashing and long first line. This is going in the definite yes pile. The Exhibitionist. This is a book I actually saw on Twitter and requested a proof of already. So if you're in the Gumption Club, I'm about to give one of you the proof because now I have 2 copies. I really think that the cover is beautiful. That's what drew me to it, obviously. Oh, and also we've got some beautiful this is the first bit of end papers that I've seen that are good. Okay, it's all looking great. The longer the marriage, the harder the truth becomes. Meet the Hanrahan family, gathering for a momentous weekend as famous artist and notorious egotist Ray Hanrahan prepares for a new exhibition of his art, the first in many decades, and one he is sure will burnish his reputation for good. His 3 children will be there. Beautiful Leah, always her father's biggest champion, sensitive Patrick, who has finally decided to strike out on his own, and insecure Jess, the youngest, who has her own momentous decision to make. I think the premise is moderately interesting. Another reason I was drawn to this is because it has great blurbs from Sarah Waters, Marion Keyes and Daisy Buchanan. So they're all great writers. So that was another reason I was interested. I think the premise could be made interesting by good writing, but we are yet to see. First line of The Exhibitionist is, Tolstoy was an idiot. This is how it always begins. The Tolstoy is an idiot is in like quote marks. That's a pretty good first line, I'm not gonna lie. We make haste, we must continue. Remote Sympathy. I think the cover looks boring as shit, but let's try it. A novel of devastating beauty that will leave readers shaken and exhilarated. Don't tell me how to feel. I don't like descriptions when it just tells you like how amazing it is before telling you what it like. Anyway, moving away from their lovely apartment in Munich isn't nearly as wrenching an experience as Frau Goethe Hahn has feared. Their new home is even lovelier than the one they left behind, and best of all, right on their doorstep are some of the finest craftsmen in all of Europe. Okay, this is a really long blurb. I can't read this all for you. Let me just quickly skim read it. Okay, this is a Holocaust novel, which can go really well or go really badly. It seems to be about a wife who doesn't completely know what's going on in the camps, and then she finds out and she befriends somebody who is in the camp. But it does say it's a tour de force about the evils of obliviousness. Remote Sympathy compels us to question our continuing and willful ability to look the other way in a world that is once more in thrall to the idea that everything, even facts, truth and morals, is relative. That last paragraph has kind of swayed me a little bit. I think I'm also enthralled by that kind of concept and discussing it, but I remain unsure, especially because of the length. Again, why so long? Why so long? The final revival of Opal and Nev. Opal is a fiercely independent young woman pushing against the grain of her style and attitude, a black punk artist before her time. Despite her unconventional looks, Opal believes she can be a star. So when the aspiring British singer-songwriter Nev Charles discovers her one night at a Detroit bar, she takes him up on his offer to make rock music together. Ooh, okay, so this is set in 70s New York. I like the concept. Reminds me a lot of Polystyrene. Wonder if it's based on real stuff. Not sure. It's blurbed by Kylie Reid, who wrote Such a Fun Age, so that's intriguing as well. And this is a more unusual concept. I think I haven't read a book with this concept before, and it's something that I am vaguely interested in. So I'm feeling okay about that one. I actually would like to give it a go. Let's do the first page. My sister Pearl and I grew up in Detroit. Our mother was Ruby Robinson. That's right, she was Ruby. She named her daughters Pearl and Opal. Oh my God, isn't that literally exactly what happens in Double Act? That's the names of them as well, no? Close though. Okay, interesting. The Great Circle, great cover, beautiful spine. Bit too long for my liking. Oh, very nice end papers. Let's see what the blurb says. On the night she is rescued as a baby out of the flames of a sinking ship, to the day she joins a pair of daredevil pilots looping and diving over the rugged forests of her childhood, to the thrilling Spitfires during the war, the life of Marion Graves has always been marked by lust for freedom and danger. Half a century later, Hadley Baxter, a brilliant troubled Hollywood starlet, is irresistibly drawn to play Marion Graves, a role that will lead her to probe the deepest mysteries of the vanished pilot's life. So it looks like it's set half in 1950s, about a female pilot, and then also covers the Hollywood starlet that plays her. That's a very, very intriguing premise. I am interested. Blurb from Jeffrey Eugenides of The Virgin Suicides, which is, and I haven't seen him blurb a lot of stuff, so I think that's quite intriguing. Oh, it's got a map. I was born to be a wanderer. I was shaped to the earth like a seabird to a wave. Nice writing. Okay. Sorrow and Bliss. This is the cover. Looks like a really good cover, apart from totally ruined by the placement of this sticker. Furious. Let's read the blurb. Everyone tells Martha Friel she is clever and beautiful, a brilliant writer who's been loved every day of her adult life by one man, her husband Patrick. So why is everything so broken? Why is Martha, at the age of 40, friendless, practically jobless, and so often sad? And why did Patrick decide to leave? So this is a kind of, looks like a second coming of age story about turning 40 and your life falling apart, which is, again, I'm intrigued because I don't read a lot of stuff about people of that age. Let's see the first line. At a wedding shortly after our own, I followed Patrick through the dense crowd at reception to a woman who was standing by herself. Kind of intriguing. I don't mind that at all. I'm undecided about that one. I think I'm on the fence. This, Creatures of Passage. An okay title, but an A-level art cover. As soon as I got this one out of the box, I was like, what is this? But let's try the blurb. Nepenthes Kinwell is a taxi driver of sorts in Washington, D.C., ferrying ill-fated passengers in a haunted 1967 Plymouth Belvedere with a ghost in the trunk. Endless rides and alcohol help her manage her grief over the death of her twin brother, Orisis, who was murdered and dumped in the Anacostia River. When the novel opens in 1977, her 10-year-old estranged great-nephew, Dash, finds himself drawn to the banks of the very same river. Okay, haunted taxi, I'm in. Unresolved grief resulting in further drama, I'm also in. So let's not judge a book by its cover. Ooh, good first line as well. Nephthys, I don't know if I'm saying that name right, I'm sorry. Nephthys Kernwell was not a saviour of souls. That was God's charge, or maybe the trade of the devil. Great first. That's kind of going over here as a surprise, but... The Paper Palace. We don't love a white cover, but it can be forgiven. That's some good end papers. Let's read the blurb. Before anyone else is awake, on a perfect August morning, Elle Bishop heads out for a swim in the glorious freshwater pond below the Paper Palace. Sorry, was I saying place? The Paper Palace is the name of this book. The gently decaying summer camp in the backwoods of Cape Cod, where her family had spent every summer for generations. Okay, so it looks like there's a hidden affair and lots of like secret family drama that's gone on, and you get let in on that over a 24-hour period. Over the next 24 hours, Elle will have to decide between the world she made with her much-loved husband Peter and the life she imagined would be hers with her childhood love, Jonas. It doesn't sound like it's really for me, but Meg Wolitz has blurbed it, and I love her. So I'm going to put that in purgatory, I'm not sure. Now this is called The Sentence. And I've cheated and already read the blurb of this one. It sounds so good. A small independent bookstore in Minneapolis is haunted from November 2019 to November 2020 by its most annoying customer, Flora. Flora dies on All Saints' Day, but simply won't leave the store. Tookie, who has landed a job selling books after years of incarceration, she has survived by reading with the murderous intention, must solve the mystery of this haunting, whilst at the same time trying to understand all that occurs in Minneapolis during a year of grief, astonishment, isolation, and furious reckoning. Does that mean that it includes the pandemic? Daring! Let's read the first sentence, but I'm 100% reading this book because haunted bookshop, I think so. While in prison, I received a dictionary. It was sent to me with a note. This is the book I would take to a deserted island. Sold! Flamingo. Hackneyed but bright and cheerful cover. First there were flamingos, and then there were two families, Sherry and Leslie and their daughters Ray and Pauline, and Eve and her son Daniel. Sherry lives with her husband Leslie. She also loves Eve. Ooh! It couldn't have been a happy summer, but then Eve left and everything went grey. Now Daniel is all grown up and broken, and when he turns up at Sherry's door, I'm already confused by who these characters are. Stop naming so many characters. Oh, okay, right. Basically the premise is there's somebody that we are not attached to called Eve, and she is missing, but we don't know anything about her, and we don't yet care. So, sorry, I'm getting brutal because that's the end of the... I'm getting tired, but no. Okay, first line. He is cross-legged on the floor of the public library, deep in cookery, holding a book of old recipes, gripping it tight, his tears tapping out the code of how lost he is on this sun-bleached cover. Okay, the first line's set in a library, but does that save it? No, sorry, not reading it. Finally, The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. Now, I've never read the Ruth Ozeki book, but I know that the really famous book she wrote, A Tale for the Time Being, has been much loved by everybody, and she's been like shortlisted for the Man Booker and stuff. So her reputation precedes her. This cover is stunning. The only person in this list to give us a decent spine. Let's read the blurb. The book is called The Book of Form and Emptiness, and this is the blurb. 1 year after the death of his beloved musician father, 13-year-old Benny begins to hear voices. The voices belong to the things in his house: a sneaker, a broken Christmas ornament, a piece of wilted lettuce. Although Benny doesn't understand what these things are saying, he can sense their emotional tone. Some are pleasant, a gentle hum or a coo, but others are snide, angry, and full of pain. When his mother develops a hoarding problem, the voices grow more clamorous. That sounds really intriguing. Sounds very heap house-esque. That's the book where all the objects talk to each other, right? End papers are stunning. Again, incredibly long. Not commuter-friendly book. But let's read the first page. A book must start somewhere. One brave letter must volunteer to go first, laying itself on the line in an act of faith, from which a word takes heart and follows, drawing a sentence into its wake. Excuse... Ruth Ozeki, how dare you? That was so incredible. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Right, okay. Which are going to be my priority? Okay, from this list, these three are going to be my priority reads, the ones that I am going to read first. I may get to the other ones, and I will try, because I have been wrong before. But if you're looking to me as the Mystic Meg of the Women's Prize, because not to flex, but I did guess 5 out of the 6 shortlist and winner for last year. These three seem like the most intriguing concepts. So if the authors execute them well, I think they could have written unique and strong books like that are worthy of actually winning. And also their first lines show the most promise. However, I might be biased because these two are probably the sexiest books out there, as well as the cover of this one, even though the production is a bit like, but we shall see. Thank you so much for watching my roundup of the Women's Prize long list. I would like to hear in the comments, if you had to pick one book, which one would you read? Doesn't have to be the ones that I picked. Literature is subjective. Who freaking knows? If you like this video, you might like any of these videos, and if you haven't been here before, I would love you to stick around because we talk about books and other things and have existential meltdowns all the time. I think you'd like it. This video was made possible by the Gumption Club, and thank you again to the Women's Prize for sending me these delicious books. Frog Snug out.